Dynamic stars, welcome back to the channel. I thank you so much for coming, stopping by, being with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. And this is Azurite 22, as you know, where we bring intuition to the fore to bring you more into your life, into your world, into your family. Today we are going to do an incarnation, a life path reading for Michael Jackson. Yes, I swear, the love of my life. I love Michael Jackson. I think I went to 3 or 4 of his concerts, and I was not making a lot of money at that time, so I loved him. Concert t-shirt, I have the concert goers book and all of that. I still have it. Yeah, I do. You don't believe me? Okay. I don't know. Can you see it all? Yeah. The real deal, Michael. Yeah. Anyway, I love Michael. So because of my love for Michael, I thought I would do an incarnation objective reading, life path reading, destiny, however you want to put it. It's what I'm going to be using today. The Metu Neter and the I Ching, a Chinese system of divination. And before we get into that, I wanted to say a thank you to everyone. You guys have been amazing. You've been sharing, you've been liking, you've been following. It's been a blessing sharing your thoughts with me, commenting. So I want to give back to all of you. And I am going to be doing a monthly giveaway of an incarnation objective reading. The very same thing I'm going to be doing today for Michael Jackson. I'm going to do it for you guys. Please do comment in any way you see fit on that video. So on this video down in the comments, and say something about the channel, how long you've been following me, what video you like best, anything along those lines. What do you think about me? Oh my God, I'm afraid. But, whatever comment. And a comment is your ticket in. If you make several comments, those are counted as multiple, okay? I'm going to randomly select a winner. I'm going to get everybody's name, put it in a jar, shake it up, and have my daughter pick, okay? She's 6 years old, clean hands. And that will be the winner. So only on the comments of this video. So one free incarnation objective reading. Good luck to all of you, and let's get into this reading. Oh, if you'd like to, find out more about my incarnation objective readings, you can go to my website, www.azurite22.com. Go to shop, and you'll see it right there. All right, so we're going to get into this reading. Incarnation objective for Michael Jackson. All right. Thank you. We are looking to gain insight into Michael Jackson's incarnation objective. Ibaye, Michael Jackson. We want to gain some understanding about Michael Jackson's life path, what his destiny was. Please share a message with us for us to gain greater understanding about Michael Jackson's incarnation objective, why he came to Earth the time that he did. Secret Tim Chayas. Tahuti Tu Chayas. Secret Tim Chayas. Tahuti Tu Chayas. I absolutely can see that. Of the many incarnation objectives out there, I even heard one that was Heteru Hetep, but they're all speaking to different portions and aspects of his life. Sekert Tem Chayas talks about the foundation, the structure, the beginning, the start, and clearly his start was not what one would want in life. His actual formative years, the early part, even before we came in, we know the father was pretty abusive, very abusive. You know that story. He made them rehearse. He made the Virgo in Michael more of a perfectionist than maybe Michael would have been on his own without that push from Joe Jackson. The Sekert Tem shows you the broken piece that came and started it all. But then we have the Tahuti Tu Chayas. It's just opening up. Sekert Tem Chayas, Tahuti Tu Chayas. It's just opening up this Tahuti, but that is the indwelling intelligence. That is a wisdom. That is a power of insight, of knowing that comes from beyond this realm. And Michael clearly had that. So in spite of all of the things that began incorrectly or not incorrectly, it is what it is, it began in a way that is not ideal, that indwelling intelligence came and shed a light. And in his particular case, it shed a light in one particular area because his astrology chart has already been done. And he is in the Heteru clan, also akin to Ochun. So all about the stage, the presence, how things look, the dancing, unfortunately, how he looked, and the many, many phases he went through to achieve the look he finally thought was best for him. Again, this reading is speaking to how he actually functioned, what was set in his life, and because of the energy of almost max factor beauty, because on the unenlightened side of Oshun, Heteru, she's vain. She only cares about the external and gives little credence to what's inside. This reading is speaking to that aspect of him where it wasn't form over function. It wasn't, function over form, I should say. That's what I'm trying to say. He literally took the form and made that more important, especially as he got later on in life. You can also see the Sekert Tem in how many things were not built properly. I mean, it all stems from his childhood, but his relationships with people, his relationships with children, his relationships, period, were not properly formed, they were all based on an incorrect assumption. One of usury, one of pain, one of suffering. So he went to the direct opposite to look and find the joy and the love and the happiness, the brightness. I mean, he had a monkey called Bubbles. I mean, come on. He did everything to get away from this dark place because Sekirtem is heavy, it's depressed, it's anxiety ridden. There's trauma there. So while he had this intelligence, this inner knowing, he knew he was going to rise above it. He knew, of course, that he had the talent and that would eventually free him. He wasn't able to get rid of all of his demons, which, as we see in the end, finally he succumbed to those things because he didn't want to age. He was in so much pain. I mean, the Sekirtem even goes down to the brittleness of his bones, excuse me, the arthritis that he had as he got older because, of all the extreme dancing, the extreme moves. While he may not have, that we know, broken bones, I'm sure there were many multitudes of fractures with all that he did, many pulls, strains on the body that created a painful body temple for him, which is why he used these powerful, oh my gosh. Ooh, it's like I'm feeling the heaviness, the despair, just like dark clouds surrounding the periphery of him. And this is how he spent his life. So his entire view to us was this fabulous Michael with all of this talent, but within he felt this miasma, this swirling, foggy cloudiness that he could not get out of unless he used this power, this special other knowing that he had to get out of it. But he didn't shine the light on other areas to clear out his demons. We'll never know why. But this is the Metu Neter portion. The I Ching portion is a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the I Ching, but I'm going to fast forward it for you guys so that it's not quite so painful for you to go through and watch me do this. All right? Just so you know, you build the I Ching up. It is a 6-line hexagram, and depending upon what we get, it will go into a second hexagram. I will come back or slow the video down so that you can see what we're talking about and get into his incarnation objective. Okay? All right, here we go. Khan over Ken. 39th hexagram with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the 2 and the 5th lines stressed, and Kun over Sun, 46th hexagram. Thirty-ninth hexagram is obstruction, and that goes into 46, which is progress, I believe. Pushing upward, yes. Okay, and this is Michael Jackson I.O., and today is 5/20/20. All right. Doing an incarnation objective takes time, takes reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick hit here, and then I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to read through. I have several different books about the I Ching, at least 4 texts that I always go through. And I take everything into consideration that's in there, as well as my intuitive aspect, and I put together a report. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll write up a report and post it on my blog. I'll leave the link below so that you can actually see what the written form of the incarnation objective looks like when I do it, based upon the reading that was received. And I'll come back because, again, I'm going to do this video in a couple of parts. I'll edit it so it's seamless for you so that you get a sense and a flavor of how long it takes. It usually takes me about 2 or 3 days to sit and meditate with it to give you your answer. I mean, sure, I can get faster, but I embed in, life. There is life that I have to live. And I really want to look and see what's there. And I'm writing it out for you so that you have all those notes because we're not in person. All right. So obstruction, this hexagram pictures a dangerous abyss lying before us and a steep, inaccessible mountain rising behind us. We are surrounded by obstacles at the same time. Since the mountain has the attribute of keeping still, there is implicit a hint as to how we can extricate ourselves. The hexagram represents obstructions that appear in the course of time, but that can and should be overcome. Therefore, all the instruction given is directed to overcoming them. So, right there, we already know Michael was to kind of not really deal too much or deal as little as possible to get through the obstacle so that when he came into his own, he could do what he wanted. And yeah, he did do that. He did. But he came through with damage. He did not clear all of those things up. Why? We don't know. And maybe for all we know, because we're on the outside looking in, we don't know if he went to counseling, if he had in-depth therapy. We don't know any of that stuff. We don't know if the Michael we saw was the Michael that had already gone through some therapy and this is what was left over, or if this was the Michael that had no therapy, that just dealt with it through retail therapy. Because Lord knows he was the biggest retail therapy client ever in the world. So let's just go straight to the lines. Just want to give you a flavor of what that is. 6 in the second place means the king's servant is beset by obstruction upon obstruction. but it is not his own fault. Ordinarily, it is best to go around an obstacle and try to overcome it along the line of least resistance. But there is one instance in which a man must go out to meet the trouble, even though difficulty piles upon difficulty. This is when the path of duty leads directly to it. In other words, when he cannot act of his own volition, but is duty bound to go and seek out danger in the service of a higher cause. Then he may do it without compunction, because it is not through any fault of his that he is putting himself in this difficult situation. And this you clearly see the Sekert and the Tehuti playing with one another, because while he was put in a situation that is totally untenable, that inner knowing must have told him he still had to forge on and continue on, because he was meant for greater things. He was here to blaze a path. And blaze he did. He did for all of us. For generations upon generations. He was ahead of his time. And he did just this. He pushed through and went against it. Even though everybody else would have run and hid, he didn't. Then in the fifth line, in the midst of the greatest obstructions, friends come. Here we see a man who is called to help in an emergency. He should not seek to evade the obstructions, no matter how dangerously they pile up before him, because he is really called to the task. The power of his spirit is strong enough to attract helpers whom he can effectively organize, so that through the well-directed cooperation of all participants, the obstruction is overcome. And that is beautiful. His mother became the advocate, and he loved his mother dearly. And in the end, this should not in any way make me feel good, but in some way, shape, or form, it's as if Michael has reached beyond the grave to make a statement that his father can have no interaction with his children, with Michael's children, at all. And this is something that is laid out, that he put in his will. And he set up his life in such a way that he could control things the way he wanted them to. And that is because he did make beautiful friendships along the way, as we saw. I mean, the love of his life, Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, he did marry Marie Presley.
Lisa Marie Presley.
I'll get her name right. I'll edit it in and put her name right, but you know who I mean. And there were so many others along the path. And of course, the slew of children that graced his home, that put smiles on his face. He had so many friends. Usher, Chris Tucker, I mean, so many people that you could see in the various clips and the various little interviews that were done. You could see these people put joy in his life. So he had breaks from the general miasma that surrounded him because of everything that he grew up with. We probably will never know to the extent his father did things to make him have the opportunities, to set him and his brothers up to have the opportunities that they did. We'll probably never know that. We just know that whatever it was, I mean, we've heard rumors about many, many things that were absolutely disgusting. This man, Michael Jackson, went through it all because he knew there was something greater. He had a greater calling. I am sure there were many opportunities for him to run away so that he could actually have a life. He didn't. He could have taken his life. Some may argue he eventually did at the end. But whatever the case is, at a time before real damage had set in, before we he got into the real heavy duty limelight that he did, in his 20s, early 20s. He could have stopped this. He chose to stay here because of the greatness of his spirit, the perseverance, the strength of who he was, the bright light that he was. So I'm just going to look at 46 really clear, because the way the I Ching works is you have the first hexagram, which details your challenges, what were the initiating earlier forces, those types of things. And then it goes into the second hexagram, which tells you the way out and what you're supposed to do, the action steps. So for 46, this is saying the lower trigram sun represents wood and the upper kun means the earth. Linked with this is the idea that wood in the earth grows upward. In contrast to the meaning of chin, progress, this pushing upward is associated with effort, just as a plant needs energy for pushing upward through the earth. That is why this hexagram, although it is connected with success, is also associated with the effort of the will. In progress, the emphasis is on expansion. Pushing upward indicates rather a vertical ascent, direct rise from obscurity and lowliness to power and influence. Clearly, that is what Michael Jackson did. I mean, from Gary, Indiana's little spot, middle of the country, to everybody, everywhere in the entire world knows who this man is, from very humble beginnings. The pushing upward of the good elements encounters no obstruction and is therefore accompanied by great success. The pushing upward is made possible not by violence, but by modesty and adaptability. Since the individual is borne along by the perpetuousness of the time he advances, he must go to see authoritative people. He need not be afraid to do this because success is assured, but he must set to work for activity because that activity brings good fortune. Adapting itself to obstacles and bending around them, wood in the earth grows upward without haste and without rest. Thus, too, the superior man is devoted in character and never pauses in his progress. And that is part and parcel of what Michael did. No matter what was done to him, no matter what was said to him, he persevered. He pushed through the hurtful paparazzi messages, the articles from the media. He continued and persevered. Yes, we know it cost him. It hurt him. We saw it hurt him. Ghost, the mini movie that he did outside of the UK, outside of the US, he did it in the UK, spoke about that. And he directly spoke to those people that called him a freak and other and not normal. He directly addressed that. He did that in many, many of his songs. We know he had a tough life and things hurt him. He felt it. He could have stopped. He never did because he knew there was something that he had to do. All right, I'll leave links below so that you can see and read more if you'd like. And also, let me know if you like this type of video. And don't forget, I am giving away a free incarnation objective reading to someone. Leave your comments below, and I will randomly select one lucky winner for this, okay? So, be back on part 2.